Hey everyone, welcome. On this channel, we're going to get into an advanced look at the story Disastrous Necromancer. Come with me as we unravel the journey of Lin Moyu, from his beginnings to him becoming a force to be reckoned with in a mysterious new world. If this story sounds like something you'll enjoy, please like, share, and comment. Your support helps us keep providing these in-depth looks into the world of Disastrous Necromancer. Now let's continue.
Lin Moyu waited in the examination room for several minutes. Normally, after being promoted to a 7th level sigil master, he should have been teleported away. But he was still here, indicating there might be a hidden task. The Human Emperor Network's response seems to have slowed down. Is it because there's too much to deal with recently? Could it be due to the screening of the Soul-Devouring clan? Although Lin Moyu didn't personally participate in the screening of the Soul-Devouring clan, his Death Dragon Knights were requisitioned in large numbers. Through his connection to the Death Dragon Knights, Lin Moyu could roughly understand the current screening situation. About half of the high-level areas of the Divine City had been screened, and it was expanding outward. Out of 100 million Death Dragon Knights, over 5 million had been requisitioned. As the screening continued, the pressure on the Human Emperor Network would increase accordingly, so occasional lag was normal. Lin Moyu was patient, waiting quietly. While waiting, he was also admiring his newly fused sigil. The outer shell of the sigil had turned to jade, looking crystal clear and very beautiful. Recalling the fusion process, Lin Moyu carefully analyzed where he could still improve and further enhance. My technique for adjusting soul power is still too crude, it can be more delicate. This way the speed should be able to increase further. Also, I shouldn't adjust two soul powers simultaneously, I only need to adjust one side of the soul power well. The Great World Sigil should also be a super huge fusion sigil, in fact every law sigil is, perhaps I can learn from them. Section 2183 23,692,184. Sigil fusion is not just putting them together, the fusion position should also be considered, to prepare for multi-sigil fusion. Combining the insights he gained from the Great World Sigil, Lin Moyu suddenly had many ideas and thoughts. He felt that his fusion method still had room for improvement, and the fusion speed could be further increased. While pondering, the Human Emperor Network finally showed activity. After detection, your fused sigil has reached the level of perfect fusion. You can try to challenge and create a new record. If successful, you will receive additional rewards. If you fail, there will be no punishment. Do you accept? Seeing the prompt from the Human Emperor Network, Lin Moyu thought to himself, sure enough. There were corresponding additional challenges for 5th and 6th level before. There's no reason 7th level sigil masters wouldn't have an additional challenge, here it is. With no punishment for failure, of course he chose to accept. The void in front of him changed, and the original fusion sigil automatically dissipated. Then a large number of sigils appeared in the void, including 50 high-level sigils and 500 basic sigils. Please choose any two sigils from the given ones for fusion. The sigils need to be drawn by yourself, the given sigils are just for reference. Successfully completing perfect fusion 3 times in a row is considered a successful challenge, otherwise it will be considered a failed challenge. The challenge is not time limited, you can start at any time. Looking at the challenge rules, Lin Moyu smiled slightly, seems not difficult. The 550 sigils in the void were all relatively common sigils. They basically involved laws like earth, water, wind, fire, stars, light, etc. He just needed to casually pick a few, then draw them himself, and then fuse them. And there was no time limit, which meant there was no need to rush at all. The difficulty of this challenge lay in completing perfect fusion 3 times in a row. In others' eyes, this was an impossible task. But in Lin Moyu's eyes, it was not difficult either. He quickly picked out 3 pairs of sigils, all combinations of high-level sigils and basic sigils. Blazing Flame Sigil and Yellow Earth Sigil, Profound Ice Sigil and Gold Cutting Sigil, Young Thunder Sigil and Sinking Water Sigil. Among them, Blazing Flame Sigil, Profound Ice Sigil, and Young Thunder Sigil were all high-level sigils. While Yellow Earth Sigil, Gold Cutting Sigil, and Sinking Water Sigil were basic sigils. Lin Moyu used his mind in 2 ways, working with both hands, simultaneously drawing out the Blazing Flame Sigil and Yellow Earth Sigil. The Blazing Flame Sigil was blazing, looking like a ball of flames itself. While the Yellow Earth Sigil flashed with an earthy yellow light, its power not great. Then he divided his soul power in 2 and injected it into them. Lin Moyu felt the vibration of the soul power and adjusted the vibration frequency at the same time. Several Saint Lords watched everything Lin Moyu did. When Lin Moyu was drawing sigils using his mind in 2 ways, Saint Lord Hao was already praising repeatedly. Young friend Lin's talent in sigils is not much weaker than his talent in passing through secret realms. Sigil Saint Lord said, he's just using his mind in 2 ways, it's nothing special. Saint Lord Hao raised an eyebrow. Using the mind in 2 ways is already very difficult, ordinary cultivators can't do it at all. Sigil Saint Lord laughed lightly and opened another projection. In it was a scene of Lin Moyu using his mind in 4 ways, drawing sigils with 4 hands simultaneously in a previous challenge. Even Saint Lord Hao, who had seen many things, watched with wide eyes. Using the mind in 4 ways, he admitted he couldn't do it. This was different from fighting and killing enemies. Combat was bold and unrestrained, while drawing sigils was extremely delicate work that couldn't tolerate the slightest mistake. Using the mind in multiple ways for drawing sigils was much more difficult than using it in multiple ways for combat. Asking for flowers. Battle Saint Lord sighed, young friend Lin indeed can't be measured by common sense. For some reason, I feel that perfect fusion is not difficult for young friend Lin. Sigil Saint Lord narrowed his eyes, I have the same feeling. I think young friend Lin must have found the method for perfect sigil fusion. They all knew that there must be a method for perfect sigil fusion. Otherwise, those ancient sigils and ancient sigil arrays wouldn't exist. If they could know the method for perfect sigil fusion, it would be good for these Saint Lords too, especially for Sigil Saint Lord's research, which could possibly advance further. Under the expectant gazes of several Saint Lords, the sigils in Lin Moyu's palm finally moved. Lin Moyu finally adjusted the soul vibrations to be consistent, taking 2 minutes this time. Although there was no improvement in time, because these were unfamiliar sigils, there was actually a bit of progress. Lin Moyu knew that if he were to fuse the same sigils next time, the speed could be much faster. The yellow earth sigil, carrying a faint yellow light, approached the blazing flame sigil. Soul power formed a bridge to receive the yellow earth sigil, and the yellow earth sigil thus entered the interior of the blazing flame sigil smoothly, then settled down steadily. The whole process seemed so harmonious and natural, as if it was meant to be. The fused sigil quickly showed signs of jade transformation, representing a perfect fusion this time. The eyes of several Saint Lords were shining, they glanced at each other, with hidden excitement. Heaven Saint Lord said, don't rush, let's continue watching. At this time, Lin Moyu had already started drawing the second pair of sigils, still using his mind in 2 ways, quickly drawing out the sigils. This time it was the profound ice sigil and gold cutting sigil. He drew the sigils in seconds, then soul power flowed into them, starting the adjustment. In less than 2 minutes, the soul adjustment was complete, and the 2 sigils began to fuse. The scene was still beautiful, the fused sigil quickly transformed to jade, verifying success. The third pair was the Yang Thunder sigil and Sinking Water sigil. When the Yang Thunder sigil appeared, it looked extremely violent, with lightning flashing inside and outside the sigil. Lin Moyu realized that this sigil was not easy to handle, it wasn't as quiet as other sigils. It was also the most difficult fusion he had faced. But what did it matter if the difficulty was high? It wasn't that it couldn't be fused. Sigil Saint Lord looked at the Yang Thunder sigil, I didn't expect him to choose the Thunder sigil, Thunder sigils have always been the most difficult to fuse. Heaven Saint Lord said in a deep voice, isn't that perfect? If even the Thunder sigil can be perfectly fused, it will fully prove that young friend Lin has truly mastered the method of sigil fusion. Sigil Saint Lord's expression was solemn, his eyes fixed, let's wait and see. As soon as Lin Moyu's soul power entered the Yang Thunder talisman, it began to vibrate violently. The amplitude and frequency of the vibrations were stronger than any previous attempt. Especially compared to the Sinking Water talisman, the difference was obvious. If the Sinking Water talisman was like a calm lake with no wind, then the Yang Thunder talisman was like an ocean in a storm. Under these conditions, stabilizing soul power was much more difficult. It's because of the Thunder talisman, which contains thunder laws, so it's more violent. It's not just because of the Thunder talisman, the Yang Thunder talisman is also one of the more powerful high-level talismans. This suggests that the more violent the laws contained in a talisman, and the greater its power, the harder it is to fuse. From this we can deduce that as more talismans are fused and the power grows stronger, the difficulty of fusion will increase significantly. Perhaps that's why there are only 6 talisman fusions currently. While pondering this, Lin Moyu didn't stop controlling his soul power. His soul power was constantly adjusting, never stopping. Multitasking had long been second nature to him. Lin Moyu had extremely strong control over his soul, and was incredibly sensitive, able to sense even the tiniest changes. Now he encountered some problems, and couldn't help but frown. The Yang Thunder talisman was too violent, its thunder laws never quiet for a moment, causing his soul power to vibrate constantly, making synchronization impossible. Unless he used his powerful soul to forcibly suppress the young Thunder Talisman, but that would defeat the purpose. Fusing talismans naturally can't go smoothly all the time. Take it slow, we'll find a solution eventually. Lin Moyu comforted himself as he continued adjusting his soul and searching for the right method. After all, there was no time limit on the challenge, so he wasn't in a hurry. If he couldn't find it in an hour, he'd take a day. If not in a day, then 10 days, 100 days. In God City, several holy lords watched the projection, knowing Lin Moyu had encountered difficulties. How Holy Lord's consciousness returned from the Human Emperor Network. I just checked the Human Emperor Network. Historically, no one has ever achieved perfect fusion of Thunder Talismans. In human history, almost every instance of perfect talisman fusion was recorded. Who fused it, what level talisman master, under what circumstances, what talismans, what were the effects after fusion? Human talisman masters had always tried to find patterns in perfect talisman fusion, but unfortunately, there were never any results. Among the many records of perfect fusion, Thunder Talismans had never achieved perfect fusion. It could only be said that Thunder Talismans were too difficult. Now even Lin Moyu encountered difficulties, let alone others. Talisman Holy Lord said, others can't do it, doesn't mean he can't. I have faith in him. Sky Holy Lord chuckled, where does Talisman Holy Lord's confidence come from? Talisman Holy Lord said, we're all talisman masters. I saw the result in his eyes. He will definitely find a way. Lin Moyu's gaze was determined and full of confidence. Just as Talisman Holy Lord said, Lin Moyu also firmly believed he could find a method. Lin Moyu diligently experienced and carefully felt every minute detail. As time passed bit by bit, Lin Moyu gradually gained insight. A day later, Lin Moyu's eyes suddenly lit up. I understand now. Why do I have to stabilize the vibrations? I can make the other talismans vibrate together. If you can't beat them, join them. Lin Moyu's eyes shone with light. Thinking of it, he immediately began manipulating his soul power. The young Thunder Talisman constantly vibrated the soul power, impossible to stabilize. If so, then make the sinking water talisman vibrate too. As long as the two vibrate at the same frequency, it would work. In one day, Lin Moyu had sensed the young Thunder Talisman's vibrations countless times and grasped the pattern. Now he controlled the soul power in the sinking water talisman, making the originally calm talisman start to vibrate. Lin Moyu's control over his soul was too strong. He quickly made the two talismans reach the same vibration frequency. After confirming the frequencies were completely in sync, the sinking water talisman began moving towards the young Thunder Talisman. Throughout the process, Lin Moyu remained extremely careful, not relaxing at all. Finally, the two talismans touched. The soul formed a bridge, and the two talismans merged seamlessly through the soul bridge. Soon, the talismans turned to jade, forming a translucent jade layer with faint thunder light flickering inside. Success! Lin Moyu breathed a sigh of relief and pushed the talisman towards the void. In God City, Talisman Holy Lord's eyes lit up. Success! Kill Holy Lord muttered, goodness, how did he do it? I'll go ask him. Come back. How Holy Lord pulled Kill Holy Lord back. What's the rush? We can ask when Lin returns. Sky Holy Lord smiled, that's right, you don't study talismans, why worry? If anyone should be anxious it's Talisman Holy Lord. Talisman Holy Lord shook his head, we talisman masters have no shortage of patience. Let's wait for Lin to return before asking. I still need to prepare the challenge tasks for 8th and 9th ranked talisman masters. It's such a headache, I don't know what else to challenge him with. How Holy Lord said softly, Lin just broke through to 7th ranked talisman master, he shouldn't be able to break through to 8th rank so soon, right? Talisman Holy Lord shook his head, who knows? Lin is different from others. Congratulations on completing the challenge. Rewards. 10,000 God City Merit Points, 8th Rank Talisman Master Data Access Permission, Fusion Talisman Data Access Permission. Lin Moyu received the reward information from the Human Emperor Network. The first two were the same as before, nothing new. The last one added Fusion Talisman Data Access Permission. Fusion Talisman data was very precious, summarized from countless experiments by human ancestors. The data recorded which two talismans fused would produce what kind of talisman, what uses it had, how powerful it was, and so on. There were too many talismans, with countless combination methods. Without the data, Lin Moyu alone would need to research for who knows how many years. With this data, he could save a lot of time. The scene before him changed, and Lin Moyu left the test room. Lin Moyu found himself on the 7th floor, where all the 7th ranked talisman masters were. They all had stable auras, all high-level god lords. The minimum requirement for 7th rank Talisman Master was God Lord Realm, but usually those who could reach 7th rank were basically high-level god lords. Lin Moyu was an absolute anomaly. Lin Moyu's sudden appearance also attracted the attention of some high-level Talisman Masters. They all recognized Lin Moyu. His performance in previous challenges was too shocking to not know him. Seeing Lin Moyu, they exclaimed in surprise, "It's you? Junior brother Lin has become a 7th rank Talisman Master, congratulations." Lin Moyu watched for a while and found that these high-level rune masters were indeed very skilled in rune fusion, and most of the time, they could succeed. However, the runes they fused generally had flaws. Moreover, most of the runes had a fusion degree between 60% and 70%. Such runes were fine for individual use, but if used to form a rune array, the effect would be much worse. Experience is important, but the correct method is the core, Lin Moyu thought to himself. He did not share his correct method. After all, his method was very difficult and required a naturally high sensitivity to the soul. Even if he wanted to share, now was not the right time. Perhaps when he became a 9th level rune master or reached the other shore realm, he would have real persuasive power. He couldn't just go and tell a high-level rune master, "You're doing it wrong. You need to train your soul's sensitivity first." Rune masters, although eager to learn, are also proud and cannot be easily contradicted. Section 2185-2369. Lin Moyu continued to find a quiet place and began to review the materials on fused runes. Combining the Gale rune and the Thunder rune can form the Wind Thunder rune, which can increase power by about 3 times. Combining the Sea of Fire rune and the Earth rune can form the Fire Prison rune. Combining the Fireball rune and the Ice rune halfway and then sealing it can form the Ice Fire Explosion rune. There were many materials on fused runes, and Lin Moyu carefully reviewed each one. There were all kinds of combinations, strange and varied. Runes have a characteristic. The stronger the creator, the deeper the understanding of the runes, and the stronger the runes they create. The same basic Fireball rune, when created by a high-level rune master, is completely different from one created by a first-level rune master. The former can destroy stars, while the latter might only be able to kill an ordinary beast. Moreover, the effect of fused runes is also related to the degree of fusion. The higher the fusion degree, the stronger the effect. So much of the information in the materials could only be used as a reference and could not be completely copied. Lin Moyu carefully reviewed and memorized various fused runes while also looking for the ones he needed. In addition to materials on 2 rune fusions, there were also materials on 3 rune and 4 rune fusions. However, compared to 2 rune fusions, the materials on 3 rune and 4 rune fusions were much less. As for materials on 5 rune and 6 rune fusions, there were none at all. Lin Moyu understood that materials on 5 rune and 6 rune fusions were likely very precious and not easily shared. For now, 2 rune fusions were sufficient. Even 3 rune fusions were not needed. He had a certain idea for upgrading the Golden Armor rune, and now he was working to turn his ideas into reality. The ocean of knowledge is vast and boundless, and Lin Moyu sat for 30 days. In 30 days, he memorized all the materials on fused runes and found the runes he needed. However, whether it would work still needed further verification. Next was the second step. Lin Moyu began to review the materials for 8th level rune masters. The materials for 8th level rune masters were much less than those for 7th level rune masters. They contained more insights and techniques rather than detailed information about runes. After all, at the level of high-level rune masters, the necessary knowledge had already been mastered. What was lacking was experience and technique, and the insights left by predecessors became precious at this moment. After reviewing them, Lin Moyu also felt he had gained a lot. It's time to verify my ideas. Lin Moyu extracted himself from the sea of books. This time, he had spent more than 150 days in the Human Emperor Network. For cultivators on the path of cultivation, a mere 150 days is just a blink of an eye. In this blink of an eye, Lin Moyu had gained a lot. His understanding of runes had deepened, and he also felt the history of the human race. In the materials for 8th level rune masters and the vast materials on fused runes, there was the painstaking effort of countless human ancestors. Generation after generation of inheritance, generation after generation of effort, he could feel the greatness of the human race. Between the lines, there was also the indomitable will of the human ancestors. After leaving the Human Emperor Network, Lin Moyu sat motionless for half an hour. He was calming his thoughts, extracting himself from the inexplicable shock, and truly achieving a state of tranquility. This was also the state needed for drawing runes, fusing runes, and setting up rune arrays. Half an hour later, Lin Moyu left the quiet room and went to where Lin Mohan was. From a distance, he saw that Lin Mohan was still cultivating. Her aura was stronger than before, seemingly having reached the 8th level of the Divine Sovereign Realm. Lin Mohan's aura was very stable, without any signs of instability due to rapid cultivation. Sister's talent is truly enviable. Lin Moyu sighed softly and turned to leave. He did not approach, seeing that Lin Mohan was fine was enough. Returning to the quiet room, he saw the Rune Saint waiting for him. Lin Moyu was slightly surprised and stepped forward to salute. "Senior, why are you here?" He remembered that the Rune Saint was researching how to check the devouring spirit race's rune arrays, so how could he have time to find him? The Rune Saint said, "I have some questions to ask you. Let's talk inside." His words made Lin Moyu feel flattered. A saint who had entered the path of runes actually said he wanted to ask him for guidance, which made Lin Moyu feel extremely strange. The two entered the quiet room, the door closed, and the array in the quiet room activated, bringing light. The quiet room was very large, with a diameter of over 1,000 meters. If needed, the array could further expand the space. Lin Moyu and the Rune Saint sat opposite each other. The Rune Saint directly asked, "How did you achieve perfect rune fusion?" So it was this question. Lin Moyu was somewhat surprised but not shocked. Saints have very high authority in the Human Emperor network. If they need to, they can monitor every corner of the human race. What happens in the Human Emperor network cannot be hidden from their eyes. Lin Moyu did not intend to hide. Actually, the method is very simple. Control the vibration frequency of the soul. The Rune Saint was puzzled. What is the vibration frequency of the soul? This term was new to him, and he couldn't understand it for a moment. Lin Moyu extended his right hand, palm up, and 2 clusters of soul power floated out, hovering above his palm. Do you see any difference between these 2 clusters of soul power? The Rune Saint did not take it lightly and looked carefully. The 2 clusters of soul power looked identical, floating above Lin Moyu's palm. The Rune Saint looked carefully for a long time but saw no difference and asked in confusion, "There seems to be no difference." Lin Moyu shook his head. "There is a difference, but it's very subtle." The Rune Saint was even more puzzled. He continued to look but still saw no difference. Lin Moyu said, "I'll amplify the difference a bit, and you can look again." As he spoke, he increased the vibration frequency of the right cluster of soul power. With the soul power remaining unchanged, the vibration frequency increased by about double. This time, the Rune Saint finally felt something, but it was still not obvious. Lin Moyu said, "I'll increase it a bit more. Use your soul to sense it. Sometimes the eyes are not reliable." As he spoke, Lin Moyu increased the vibration frequency of the right cluster of soul power again, making it twice as fast as the left. The Rune Saint nodded and did as he was told. The soul power of a saint enveloped Lin Moyu's 2 clusters of soul power. This time, the feeling was finally clear, and the Rune Saint's eyes showed a look of surprise. As a saint, his soul's sensitivity is not low either. Under Lin Moyu's deliberate manipulation, the Rune Saint felt the difference between the 2 clusters of soul power. The Rune Saint murmured, "One is like flowing water, the other like raging fire." This was the feeling the 2 clusters of soul power gave him. Although the flowing water was also moving, it was smooth and stable, and even those with less sensitive souls could not feel its fluctuations. The cluster of soul power on the right was completely different. It was like a flame, constantly jumping and very active. Lin Moyu said, "This is the vibration of soul power. I will now lower the vibration frequency, and you can continue to feel it." As he spoke, Lin Moyu reduced the vibration of the soul power on the right. The Rune Saint focused intently, carefully sensing the changes in the soul power. He could clearly feel the flame-like soul power on the right gradually extinguishing. Its vibrations became weaker and weaker, more and more stable. Lin Moyu reduced the soul power's vibration slowly, decreasing it by 10% at a time. But for the Rune Saint, this change was still very noticeable, and he could fully grasp this change. Section 2186-2369. When the soul power completely returned to its original state, the 2 clusters of soul power on the left and right looked identical again. The Rune Saint frowned. "They have become the same." Lin Moyu said, "I will now enhance the soul power again, but this time very slowly. You can observe again." He began to enhance the soul power on the right, but this time the enhancement was very slow, increasing by only 1% each time. At the same time, Lin Moyu also watched the Rune Saint's expression closely. As the soul power changed bit by bit, the Rune Saint's expression did not change accordingly. It wasn't until the soul power on the right increased by more than 20% that the rune saint's expression changed. Lin Moyu knew he had sensed the change in the soul power, and the enhancement stopped at that moment. Lin Moyu said, "I will now lower the vibration of the soul power on the right a bit. You tell me how it feels." As he spoke, he lowered the vibration of the soul power on the right by 1%. The rune saint frowned again. They are the same. The reason for the frown was not that the two clusters of soul power were the same, but because he knew they were different, yet he couldn't feel it. Lin Moyu withdrew the two clusters of soul power. Actually, they were different from the beginning, but the difference was very small, only about 1%. You felt the difference when the disparity reached 20%. The rune saint said, "This should be related to the sensitivity of the soul. Your soul is extremely sensitive and can sense various subtle differences, but I cannot." Lin Moyu nodded. "Actually, the principle of perfect rune fusion is very simple. We use the soul as a bridge. As long as the vibrations of the two souls are completely consistent, the runes can perfectly fuse. It doesn't matter what runes there are or how many there are." The rune saint never imagined that the problem that had troubled the human race for tens of thousands of years would have such a simple answer. The rune saint still found it hard to believe. Is it really that simple? Lin Moyu said, "The principle is indeed that simple, but it's not easy to do in practice. Our soul splits into two, and after entering the runes, the vibration frequency of the soul will be slightly altered by the runes. This change might be less than 1%, perhaps only a thousandth, or even lower. Such a tiny difference can prevent the runes from perfectly fusing. Moreover, the stronger the power of the runes and the more violent the laws involved, the greater the impact on the soul. This is also why thunder runes are difficult to perfectly fuse." The rune saint fully understood. He had entered the path of the saint through runes and had deeply studied runes, quickly identifying the key issue. The rune saint frowned. The most critical issue is the sensitivity to changes in the soul. Lin Moyu had long anticipated that the rune saint would grasp the key point. That's right. As long as the soul is sensitive enough to sense these changes and control them, perfect fusion is not very difficult. The rune saint sighed, "But everyone's soul sensitivity is different. Not to mention others, even I cannot achieve it." Lin Moyu smiled. "Actually, I have thought about this issue too. The sensitivity of the soul can be improved through training. However, there will still be differences between individuals, and the extent of improvement will vary from person to person." As he spoke, Lin Moyu waved his hand, and 20 clusters of soul power flew out, hovering in mid-air. The 20 clusters of soul power were like 20 stars, shining in the air. To the average person, these 20 clusters of soul power looked identical, but the rune saint knew they were different. Lin Moyu said, "You can carefully sense the differences between them. Try it several times." The rune saint nodded and began to use his soul power to sense the 20 clusters of soul power, feeling the differences between them. Lin Moyu watched the focused rune saint and smiled slightly. He then moved to the side to attend to his own matters. His fingers traced through the air, beginning to draw runes. He had already conceived the runes he needed in his mind. A golden armor rune was quickly drawn. The golden armor rune was originally composed of 1 advanced rune and 10 basic runes, but that kind of fusion was not true fusion, only a combination. Now Lin Moyu wanted to modify and upgrade the golden armor rune. With Lin Moyu's will, the drawn golden armor rune automatically disassembled, returning to 1 advanced rune and 10 basic runes. With a thoughtful look in his eyes, he knew it was impossible to fuse all 11 runes together. Although he knew that fusing all 11 runes together would yield the best results, it was not realistic. The difficulty was too high, and it could not be mass-produced. The upgraded golden armor rune was not just for his own use but for the entire undead army. Therefore, he had to consider whether the runes could be mass-produced. Otherwise, if he had to draw the runes himself, it would take an eternity to cover every member of the undead army. Considering all these factors, Lin Moyu chose a compromise. Next is the experiment. Let's start with the simplest. With a thought, the disassembled golden armor rune reassembled, returning to its original form. Lin Moyu then drew a basic rune in earthy yellow, the yellow stone rune, the most basic rune of the Earth series. The yellow stone rune could enhance defense and could also be fused with other runes. It had the advantages of the Earth series runes, such as heaviness and stability, making it a preferred choice for many rune masters to fuse runes. Lin Moyu chose it as the first fusion rune for these reasons. Soul power flowed out slowly, splitting into 2 and merging into the 2 runes. Lin Moyu frowned. The golden armor rune was not a single entity but composed of multiple runes. As soon as the soul power entered, it scattered and lost connection. This won't work. With a thought, Lin Moyu disassembled the golden armor rune again. This time, he ignored the other runes and first merged the soul power into the main advanced rune, fusing it with the yellow stone rune. After slightly adjusting the soul power's vibration frequency, Lin Moyu skillfully fused the two runes together. The entire process went smoothly. After merging with the yellow stone rune, the main rune immediately became much stronger, and its outer shell began to jade ify. Then the 10 basic runes combined with it, forming a new golden armor rune. Lin Moyu could feel that the golden armor rune had indeed become stronger after merging with the yellow stone rune. Bang! With a light sound, the golden armor rune suddenly cracked and shattered into countless pieces. Failed. Looking at the collapsing runes, Lin Moyu's eyes showed no sign of disappointment. Failure is normal. If it succeeded on the first try, that would be abnormal. The golden armor talisman was his creation, with no precedent to follow, so it wasn't easy to succeed. When he first created the golden armor talisman, it also failed many times before finally succeeding. Continue. Lin Moyu created another golden armor talisman and began the second experiment, with the fusion target still being the yellow stone talisman. The golden armor talisman dispersed, and the yellow stone talisman fused with the main rune, achieving a perfect fusion, and the entire process went smoothly. Then the golden armor talisman reassembled, and the process was still smooth. The golden armor talisman emitted a stronger aura than before, with a significant increase in effect. But it only lasted for 3 seconds before the golden armor talisman collapsed. The third experiment followed, with the same result. Lin Moyu made no changes and continued the experiment as usual. His expression showed no worry about failure. The golden armor talisman collapsed repeatedly, 10 times in a row, before Lin Moyu stopped. It should be due to insufficient balance. The main rune is too weak, and the 10 basic runes are not strong enough. Let's try replacing all 10 basic runes with fusion runes. Through 10 experiments, Lin Moyu identified the cause. Next, he fused each of the 11 runes that made up the golden armor talisman with the yellow stone talisman, then reassembled them into the golden armor talisman. At the moment the new golden armor talisman formed, the entire training room was bathed in golden light, and the golden armor talisman shone like a rising star. The new golden armor talisman was jade-like, resembling a delicate golden jade piece, exceptionally beautiful. Lin Moyu quietly sensed it with his soul, patiently waiting. His soul sensed the vibrations of the golden armor talisman for a full half-hour. After half an hour, the vibration frequency of the golden armor talisman remained unchanged and very stable. Lin Moyu finally confirmed, it's a success. Let's see how effective it is. With a thought, 2 skeleton generals appeared beside him. The golden armor talisman flew towards one of the skeleton generals, merging with its soul flame, replacing the old golden armor talisman. Then the new golden armor talisman activated, and the white jade-like skeleton general was instantly covered in golden light. A substantial golden armor appeared on the skeleton general. In stark contrast to the old golden armor talisman, which was illusory and hazy, the new golden armor talisman looked more like a real golden armor. The skeleton general, clad in golden armor, appeared majestic and imposing, exuding an unparalleled aura. It looked like a golden armored war god from hell, striking fear into the hearts of onlookers. It looks good, but I wonder how powerful it is. With a thought, the other skeleton general immediately swung its bone sword to attack. The white sword energy, wrapped in grey death power, struck the golden armor with a loud crash. The golden armor remained unmoved in the sword energy, shining brightly, easily blocking the sword energy. The skeleton general's full-strength attack, reaching the 6th level of the god rank, was easily blocked, proving the power of the golden armor talisman. With a thought, Lin Moyu lightly tapped his finger. The skeleton king appeared in the training room, and Lin Moyu reduced the formations in the room, expanding the space, as the training room couldn't accommodate the skeleton king otherwise. The skeleton king swung its massive bone sword at the skeleton general. Brilliant golden light erupted, and the skeleton general remained unmoved, blocking the skeleton king's bone sword. Lin Moyu's eyes lit up. Although the skeleton king didn't use any spells, its attack reached the 9th level of the god rank. The golden armor talisman's effect exceeded expectations. Use the god-slaying strike. With a thought, the skeleton king swung its sword again, using the god-slaying strike. Bright sword light erupted on the skeleton general, and the golden light became even more dazzling. With a loud bang, the golden armor talisman finally collapsed, but the god-slaying sword also failed to harm the skeleton general. The two forces cancelled each other out. The skeleton king's god-slaying strike has the power of a peak god rank. In other words, the golden armor talisman's defense can withstand a peak god rank attack. Very good, very good. Lin Moyu was very satisfied. The golden armor talisman achieving this effect met his expectations. Although he could make the golden armor talisman even stronger, he had to consider mass production. After weighing the pros and cons, Lin Moyu finally decided to maintain the current state. With the new golden armor talisman completed, the next step was to change the production line for the golden armor talisman. This was the real headache. In this area, no one could guide Lin Moyu, and he had to figure it out on his own. Lin Moyu summoned Xiao Jin and all the previously created talisman arrays. A total of 100 talisman arrays floated neatly in mid-air. In the center of the formations was Xiao Jin, the spirit of the formations. Upon arriving in the outside world and seeing Lin Moyu, Xiao Jin was very excited. "Hello, master, hello." Lin Moyu also greeted Xiao Jin with a smile. "You'll be busy for a while." Xiao Jin patted its chest and promised, "Xiao Jin is very capable. Master, just give the orders." Good, good. Lin Moyu began to modify the formations. The previous formations were divided into 2 steps. The first step was to jointly create the main rune and 10 basic runes. The second step was to combine the 11 runes to form the golden armor talisman. The steps didn't need to change, and the second step didn't need to be altered. The change was needed in the manufacturing part. Now, the task was to create fusion runes, and each rune needed to integrate with the yellow stone talisman. Lin Moyu had 2 methods in front of him. One was to set up a formation for drawing the yellow stone talisman for each golden armor talisman formation, providing the yellow stone talisman for the golden armor talisman formation. The second method was to provide the yellow stone talisman for each rune individually, meaning each golden armor talisman would need 11 formations to produce the yellow stone talisman, increasing the workload by more than 10 times. Each method had its pros and cons, and Lin Moyu couldn't determine which was better, so he had to try them one by one. The enormous workload would take Lin Moyu a lot of time to complete this experiment. 50 days later, the talisman saint finally withdrew his mind. After continuously sensing the 20 soul light clusters for these days, his soul sensitivity finally improved. He could sense the differences between the weakest and strongest vibrating soul light clusters. He finally sensed the 20% difference in vibration frequency between the two. However, the talisman saint didn't know that this was just the first step, and there was a long way to go. When he could sense even the slightest changes, he could perfectly fuse runes like Lin Moyu. Perfectly fused runes were a huge temptation for every talisman master. Not far away, intense fluctuations came, and dazzling golden light pierced the darkness. The talisman saint turned to see Lin Moyu experimenting with new runes. This is. The talisman saint was puzzled. Lin Moyu was on the path of rune fusion, so when did he start involving formations? This formation is special, I've never seen it before. The method of setting up the formation is very skilled. It seems he's not unfamiliar with formations. This formation is neither an attack formation nor a defense formation, but... Gradually, the talisman saint's eyes widened, showing an expression of disbelief again.